The following is a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 13th Chapter, Text 27, by His Divine Grace Nityananda Goswami Acharya Day, on February 14th, 1987, in Miami Beach, Florida.
Sukhamasyaatmano rupam sarve ho paratistanu manaksam sparshajan drishtva bhogan swapsyami samvisam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. You can repeat. The actual form of life for the living entities is one of spiritual happiness, which is real happiness. This happiness can be achieved only when one stops all material activities. Material sense enjoyment is simply imagination. Therefore, considering this subject matter, I have ceased from all material activities, and I am lying down here. Purport. The difference between the philosophy of the Mayavadis and that of the Vaishnavas is explained herein. Both the Mayavadis and Vaishnavas know that in materialistic activities there is no happiness. The Mayavadi philosophers, therefore, adhering to the slogan Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, want to refrain from false materialistic activities. They want to stop all activities and merge in the Supreme Brahman. According to the Vaishnava philosophy, however, if one simply ceases from materialistic activity, one cannot remain inactive for very long, and therefore everyone should engage himself in spiritual activities which will solve the problem of suffering in this material world. It is said, therefore, that although the Mayavadi philosophers strive to refrain from materialistic activities and merge in Brahman, and although they may actually merge in the Brahman existence, for want of activity they fall down again into materialistic activity. Aruya krichaina param padam tatak. Thus the so-called renouncer, unable to remain in meditation upon Brahman, returns to materialistic activities by opening hospitals and schools and so on. Netra Jagya. You know that from India. Netra Jagya. Therefore, simply cultivating knowledge that materialistic activities cannot give one happiness, and that one should consequently cease from such activities, is insufficient. The karmanam nanarambhan naiskarmyam purushosnate nacha sanyasanariva siddhing samvigachati. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that akarmana anarambha. It is not simply by refraining from activities that we can be happy, nor is it simply by renouncing that one achieves perfection. One should cease from materialistic activities and take up spiritual activities. Then the solution to the problem will be achieved. Spiritual activities are activities performed according to the order of Krishna. Anubhuyena Krishna Anushīlanam. If one does whatever Krishna says, his activities are not material. For example, when Arjuna fought in response to the order of Krishna, his activities were not material. Fighting for sense gratification is a materialistic activity, but fighting by the order of Krishna is spiritual. By spiritual activities, one becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, and then enjoy blissful life eternally. Here in the material world, everything is but a mental concoction that will never give us real happiness. practical solution, therefore, is to cease from materialistic activities and engage in spiritual activities. Yajna arthat karmana yatra loko yam karma bandhana. If one works for the sake of pleasing the Supreme Lord, Yajna or Vishnu, one is in liberated life. If one fails to do so, however, he remains in a life of bondage. Om jnana tamirandasya jnanam jana shalakaya chakshuru miditam jaina tasmai sri gurave namah. Chakudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu se divya jnana hridaya prakashita. Sukhamasyaatmano rupam sarve hu paratistano manat samsparasya drishtva bhugan svapsyami samvisan. Similarly, in Vedanta Sutra, there is a statement, Anandamayo Vyasat, that actually we are Anandamaya. Anandamaya means blissful by nature, constituted of bliss, Anandamaya. Anandamaya. Made of bliss, or constituted of bliss. And here it said, Sukamasyatmano rupam, that our actual nature, our real life, is sukham, or happiness. But we cannot realize that life until we stop all material activities. Sarve ho paratistano. So here, is this Prahlad speaking to the Avaduta? Yes, Avaduta speaking to, but it's that conversation. Yes, the Avaduta speaking here, but it's that conversation. So he says, Sangvisan, if I would literally, he says, get into it, the Sangvisan, that means literally get into it. Enter into it. If I would enter into material activities, sapsyami, I would be dreaming. I would be just dreaming. He says that, isn't it? Sapsyami samvisan. If I would enter into this, if I would let myself go, if the senses are attracted by different material objects, but if I let myself go, I will be condemning myself to a false life, to dreaming. I lose contact with reality. That's the idea here. Material enjoyment, bhogan, bhoga, bhogan, just the plural here. These material enjoyments, they are manoksam sparasajan. They are simply in the mind, monosi. They are in the mind, and they are samsparasajan. Jai samsparasaja bhoga dukha jonaya evate adyantavanta konte anateshu ramate buddha. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna makes a similar statement. Samsparsha, you can understand, the word sparsha means touch. Sparsha means touch. And samsparsha means also coming together. So when two things come together in touch, that's samsparsha. It is visayendriya samyog in Vedic terms. Visayendriya samyoga. It is a contact between the senses and the sense objects. That's all. There is nothing permanent. It is not a permanent situation. Just like, for example, the eyes. Because the eyes come into contact with the form of a beautiful woman, or a woman's eyes want to see a pleasing man. So that is samsparsha. It is not a constitutional happiness, in the sense that it is not something within myself. It is not actually part of me, that sense gratification based on lust. But because I've accepted a particular body, with a particular set of senses. Therefore, when I see a particular object, that contact creates a certain sensation which is temporary and illusory, but I think that's my real happiness. So I'm struggling to keep that touch. But the nature of this world is that we are being pulled in different ways. Everything is being moved by time. I've already explained this point many times. The word for time in Sanskrit is kala. Kala comes from the verb kal, which means to move, to keep things moving. Just like, for example, pasyanti panti kalayanti, chirang jaganti. Kalayanti, that the Supreme Lord is controlling and moving these worlds, manipulating them. So, kala is that which is driving everything forward toward its destination, and that destination is destruction. It also means death, just like death is called, isn't it, kala sarpa? Kala also indicates, just like, for example, in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna saw the universal form destroying all these worlds, he said, Ko bhavan ugra rupo. Who are you in this terrible form? Ugra. Ugra means horrible. In this horrible form, who are you? And Lord Krishna said, Kalosmi, I am time. Kalosmi loka kshaya krit, the destroyer of the world. So anyway, by the force of time, all of us are being pushed. We cannot control our destiny. Of course, we have some freedom. It is not that we are totally without freedom. We have some freedom, but still, in different ways, because of the consequences of our previous activities, we are being pushed. Therefore, even though I've come into touch with a particular sense object, and I think, oh, this is giving me pleasure, time will push me in a particular direction, and the sense objects, they're also being pushed in different directions. And so with all this moving going on, the probability that your senses are going to remain in contact with a particular sense object are extremely remote. And the sense objects not only being pushed from one place to another place, not only being pushed from one physical location to another physical location, but they're also being pushed through different phases of evolution. In other words, just like, for example, a man may be attracted to a woman, but she'll become old. Or the man will become old. Or I buy a house, but that house will also deteriorate. Or I may go to live in a particular country, but then a war may break out in that country. Or nothing may change, but I change. My taste changes. I used to like that, but now I don't like it anymore. But I've already invested in it. This is the sum and substance of family life. Anyway, so this world is ksarobhava. Everything is changing. So because everything is changing, things are physically moving from one place to another, things are deteriorating, disturbances arise, my own personal desires change, desires of others may change, different reactions are coming at every moment. Just like I may take shelter of a particular person, but due to that person's own karma, they may die. Isn't it? So many things are going on. This world is unstable in so many different ways that those who are trying to enjoy the samsparasaja bhoga, this pleasure which comes from the contact of the senses and the sense object, they're doomed to suffer. There's no possibility they will become happy. That's the idea. So Lord Krishna says, Jehi samsparasaja bhoga. These pleasures which come by samsparasa, by contact with the senses and the sense objects, these pleasures are dukkha jonaya. They are the source of suffering. Yoni in Sanskrit means the source. Just like yoni also means the womb, because that's where the bodies come from. They come out of the womb. So the word yoni also means the source. The source. So Krishna says that which you think is pleasure, that samsparsa ja means born of, samsparsa ja bhoga is actually dukkha joni. It is actually dukkha joni. It is actually the source of your unhappiness. In other words, as Prabhupada would say, just the opposite. It is just the opposite. Jehi samsparsa ja bhoga dukkha jonaya evate adyantavanta konteya. Because these pleasures have their beginning and their end. Adi anta. We cannot adjust that. You may say, no, I'll make some adjustment, but your adjustment is useless. It began. Just like, for example, some pleasure begins. So we may think, no, I have arranged for this pleasure, but no one can arrange for pleasure independently. All of our so-called happiness, it comes from God or from Krishna. And similarly, when it is time to end, you cannot prolong it. That is the nature of this world. Adyantavanta konteya. Therefore, nateshu ramante bhuta. The intelligent person will not try to enjoy these temporary things. That's the conclusion. Buddha. Buddha means intelligent. It also means someone who is awake, who's not sleeping. Just like now some people are sleeping. This is influence of tamogun. So, if we are sleeping, if we are not alert, if we are not, just like, for example, if you're driving a car and you fall asleep, there's every chance you'll be killed. That's a very common cause of death, isn't it? People are driving and they fall asleep. So Buddha means awake, isn't it? Awake, alert. Buddha. Now there's a verb also, there's a verb for this, buddhyate, or the causative bodhayati. Bodhayati means to awaken, to wake someone up, to make him Buddha, to make him awake, to make him intelligent. So Lord Krishna says in the Gita also that it is the duty of the devotees to awaken one another. It is the duty of the devotees to awaken one another. Machita madgata prana bodhayantak parasparam. It is the duty of the bodhayantak, is a causative form of this verb. It means to wake someone up. So the devotees, parasparam, mutually, they awaken each other. Or they enlighten one another. Katayanta samangnika, by always speaking about me. Tusanti cha, in this way they are satisfied. Ramanti cha, in this way they enjoy. So, to awaken someone, for devotees to awaken each other means also to constantly point out, you're trying to enjoy sense gratification, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You will never actually become happy by sense gratification. This is the process of awakening someone. Bodhayanta parasparam, isn't it? To become Buddha. So, adyantavanta konteya nateshu, ramate Buddha. Ramate, in Sanskrit, is the verb which means to enjoy. Ramate, rama, enjoyment. So, an intelligent person will not try to enjoy. So what does an intelligent person enjoy? What does he do? That's also explained. Ramante, yogino, the yogis, or the devotees, they enjoy. But what do they enjoy? Anante, they are enjoying the infinity. They are enjoying the infinity. In other words, they have found infinite pleasure. Infinite pleasure. Ramante yogino anante satyanande, because they have found the truth. They have gone beyond the illusion, the perverted reflection, and they have found the truth, which is infinite, and they have found infinite pleasure in the truth. Ramante yogino anante satyanande chinatmani. Yes. Iti rama padena asau parang brahma vidhiyate. Therefore, that truth which they have found is known as Rama. It is known as Rama, iti Rama padena, because it is the source of infinite pleasure. Therefore, the absolute truth is called Rama. Iti Rama padena so parang brahma vidhiyate. Yes, this is the absolute truth. What is that verse? Tamisharanam paramang mahisharang tam Daivatanam paramang cha daivatam patin patinam paramang parastat vidhama devam bhuvaneshamidyam tatsamanabhyadikascha drishyate natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate parasya shaktir vividhaiva suyate sabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. A very nice verse from the Vedas. Tamisaranam paramang mahesaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the great. He is the Supreme Controller among all controllers. Tam devatanam paramang devatam. Among all deities, He is actually the worshipable object. In other words, we are worshiping different things because of our ignorance. But actually, the real worshipable object is Krishna. Patin patinam, Lord of lords, paramang parastat, supreme and beyond everything. Vidama devam, bhuvanesa midyam. It's very nice, isn't it? Those who know Sanskrit can appreciate how beautiful this is. Vidama devam. Let us understand God in this way. Vidama devam. We should understand God in this way. Paramam parastat. He is supreme. He is beyond everything. So that's sama. There's nothing equal to Him. Navyari kascha drishyate. Nothing has ever been seen. Empirical. Nothing has ever been seen which is greater than Him. We may theoretically say something is better than Krishna, but nothing has ever been observed which is greater than Krishna. Janglabdhva chaparang lava manyate nadikang tataha. What is that? Atyantang sukam asnute. Atindriyam buddhigrayam. You know that? What is that sloka? Yes, and I was listening today to the Bhagavad Gita slokas, that tape of the Gita slokas. I recorded the Gita slokas. Anyway, in the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna is saying how the yogis, the devotees, they enjoy atyantam sukham. Atyantam sukham. In Spanish that would be like demasiado placer. They enjoy atyantam. They enjoy exceeding happiness. Exceeding happiness. Transcendental happiness. And Janglabdhva, when they have achieved that Krishna consciousness, Janglabdhva chaparang labam. Manyadenadikam, that they understand there is nothing greater than this. There is nothing better than this. There is no superior pleasure. I've achieved the greatest thing. This is the idea. Janglabdhva chaparang labam manyadenadikam tataha. That's in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, these are some of the points here. Drishtva, we should understand the actual situation. So we will not be bewildered. We should understand the actual situation. And not dream. I was speaking about the fact that we have to awaken. We can't dream that I will be happy by sense gratification. So here, the sage, Avadhuta, says that because I can see clearly that this sense gratification is simply a material circumstantial phenomenon. I can understand that there's no permanent happiness here. Therefore, I understand that if I simply go into that, I'll just be dreaming. I will lose touch with reality, and I will enter into a dream which will suddenly end, and I will be in a very terrible situation. So therefore, I will remain awake. I remain awake. So we should try to understand this point. Vishaya chadiya kave shuddha have mana ave hama hiravat Sri Vrindavana. That when will I actually give up sense gratification? When I give up sense gratification, then I'll be able to see Vrindavan. Vrindavan is so nice, you can't imagine how nice it is. You can't imagine how nice is Vrindavan. It is so nice. It's very different. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his poem, how can my earthly words describe that feeling soft and broad? So he says, how can my earthly words describe this Krishna consciousness? So Vrindavan is so nice. It is, imagine, just like in this world, every rich person tries to build or purchase a very beautiful home for himself. If someone has money, he tries to make a very beautiful arrangement as far as possible. So Krishna, imagine Krishna. He's omnipotent. He's omniscient. He's his infinite knowledge and infinite opulence. Imagine his personal place. Imagine his own home. You see, we can't imagine. And Krishna is inviting you. If you go out door to door to the home of a rich person, they slam the door in your face or call the police, isn't it? But Krishna is inviting you because we are his children. Rich people, very often they're quite obnoxious, but their own children, they're always inviting to come home, isn't it? Isn't that a fact? They're always inviting their children, why don't you come home? Why don't you come home? We'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you everything. Isn't it? We have practical experience. So, Krishna is infinitely wealthy. He's the supreme. He's Bhagavan. He has infinite opulences, infinite wealth, infinite beauty, and everything. And he's inviting you. Because we are all children of Krishna. Why are you rotting like an ass, like a dog or a cat in this material world? Why are you such a fool that you think you'll be happy here? Why don't you come and stay with me and I'll give you everything? But we are so ignorant that we become attracted to sense gratification. We don't. Just like Indra became a pig. And when he was invited to come back to heaven, he wanted to remain as a pig and stool. That's more or less the position of the conditioned soul. Anyway, the Bhagavatam is explaining these points in so many ways. Any questions now?
Is there any examples of persons who are experiencing the higher pleasures and spiritual taste? And why sometimes they go back to that lower taste?
Yes, that Bharata Maharaj, it said, was at the stage of bhava. Dadosha dhata taksadu sangha tato bhajana kriya anartha nivritti sya tato nishtha ruchi sataha tato bhav. So he was at that stage. The idea is, unless one is absolutely, completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, Maya, you have to understand, Maya is, she's there, always. In other words, you may go up, but she's also there. Maya is actually in back of Krishna. It's explained in the Bhagavatam. She's ashamed to look at Krishna face to face because of her occupation. So she's embarrassed to come face to face with Krishna. But she stays right behind Krishna, but she's there. So Krishna says, Daivi yesha gunamaya maya dhuratyaya. Maya is Krishna's own potency. Of course, if one takes shelter of Krishna, he will not fall down. But sometimes the examples there of Bharata Maharaj are a little difficult too. Then he became perfect. It is not that A devotee who has some difficulty, it's not that all of his service is lost. No. The service is not lost. Just like Bharata Maharaj, he became attached to a deer. So his service was not lost. But Krishna gave a little chastisement, and then he went back to Godhead. We have to remain in touch with that higher taste. But another point is, therefore, Varnashram system is there. We have to follow. In other words, if we act independently, that may also cause difficulty. But you understand, if we act independently, that may cause some difficulty.
Why should Krishna actually chastise somebody who is actually loving to other creatures?
Because Krishna loves him. Why? Otherwise, the question is, why should Krishna chastise someone he doesn't care about? Just like when we go out on the street, we may see some foolish child, but do we chastise him? Why? We don't, actually. Isn't that practical? Because none of our business. Isn't that a fact? If you're in a store and some child is there with his mother acting improperly, do you chastise him? Why? Because you don't care. It's not your business. So the question is not, why does Krishna chastise if he cares about the devotee? Chastisement means concern. Otherwise, why do you chastise?
In the verse it says that when he goes to the Brahma Jyoti, he's going to fall down. But why is it that in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it said that some that leave their body at a certain time, they go up and don't ever come back down?
It doesn't say don't ever come back down. It just says they don't come back. In other words, just like, for example, let's say I live in Florida, but then I go to India, and I just stay there for the rest of my life. You say he went, but he didn't come back. It doesn't mean that I'll never come back here, even in another life. Abratim anabratim. It simply says, in other words, the yogis who leave at the wrong time, they come right back. The whole mission is aborted. Just like sometimes you take off in a plane and the pilot says, we're going to have to go back to the airport, ladies and gentlemen. So they come right back, isn't it? That happened to me actually in I think it was in Santiago now. I was in Santiago, Chile. Or maybe it was in Lima. Anyway, I don't remember. Maybe it's one of those cities. The plane, it went out toward the runways and they stopped and came back. I don't remember now where it was, but one of those places.
They come back on another lifetime, and you want to wish the wrong day at a particular time.
It's not our eternal position. Square peg in a round hole, as I say.
What about the demons that get killed and immersed in Krishna's body? Do they stay there?
For some time.
And they have to come back also.
Have to come back? What is the use of staying in the Brahma Jyoti? It's hellish. If you stay in the Brahma Jyoti, you'll never get Krishna. Therefore, Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Kaivalya narakayate. That impersonal liberation is hellish. He specifically says it is hellish, narakayate. Tridasapur akasa puspayate. He has a series of verses like that. Tridasapur means the cities of the demigods. The demigods have cities with beautiful roads and gardens. They have cities. So he says that those cities of the demigods are akasa puspa. They are flowers growing in the sky. In other words, phantasmagoria. It doesn't actually exist. Tridasapur akasa puspayate and kaivalya narakayate, and the impersonal liberation is hellish. In other words, everything is insignificant for one who has understood Krishna consciousness. Everything else becomes insignificant if one has actually understood Krishna consciousness. Any other point?
If one follows this process of bhakti yoga, but still one remains a kanishta adhikari for almost all his life, that at the end of his life,
Give a donation.
He takes, is it possible for him to go back home, back to God?
Well, whatever he does will be to his credit, and he'll keep going. If one is a kanishta adhikari, then he has to make further advancement. Just like we see, Prabhupada used to say, if one simply chants 16 rounds and follows the four principles, he'll go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So as a young member of this movement, I thought, is that all? But I thought I'm just a neophyte. I'm doing that. I thought you have to become a pure devotee. But as time goes on, we see who can actually chant 16 rounds and follow four regular principles for their whole life. It requires a little seriousness, doesn't it? One has to be a little serious.
If he does that, then he goes back to God.
If he does it, actually. But who will actually do it? That's the initiation vow. Therefore, one who keeps his vow, he's called Dhrita Vrata. He maintains his vow. He doesn't fall down from his vow. He's called Dhrita Vrata. Samsita Vrataha. You know that in Bhagavad Gita. Samsita Vrata, vow, promise. If one keeps his vow, he becomes very powerful. And if one gives up his vow, he becomes weak.
We can see also an example of Ajamil. Even though
He didn't go back to God immediately. He went back to the movement. Blew for about 80 years. Then he went back to Krishna consciousness and resumed his practice. That's the point. Should read carefully. First read the lines before you read between the lines. But Jamila is a pretty modern character, isn't he? Question is?
I thought you had to chant 16 rounds without offense in order to go back to God.
Yes, one has to chant without offense, but the point is that if one continues to chant his whole life, then he'll become purified. If one actually chants his whole life, then he'll become purified. And if one chants with too many offenses, then he'll lose his taste for chanting. Then he won't chant. Similarly, if one is not following strictly four principles, he'll also lose the taste for chanting. So we have to follow four principles, chant 16 rounds. Then we'll actually make progress. Then we'll actually become strong. Otherwise, one will remain weak.
Offenses refer to
10 offenses.
mental offenses also.
Mental offenses are not counted, but they have to be controlled. One offense is to maintain material attachments. In other words, you cannot spend your whole life walking the tightrope of just in your mind cultivating sense gratification and then think that your behavior will be proper. Isn't it? If you actually want to spend your life advancing in Krishna consciousness, you better learn not to cultivate sense gratification in your mind. Has one of those 24-hour supermarkets. No vacations. Maya's always there. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Maya has a sign on her door that says, "We never close." So the point is that unless we are seriously practicing Krishna consciousness, then if we are like the lady asked, chanting without offenses. But inevitably Maya will come with different, as they say in Latin America, ofertas. Maya will come with different offers. And if we are not chanting nicely, how will you say no? It is by chanting nicely that we have the strength to say no to Maya. Otherwise, one will become a rascal and he will say yes. And then it's finished. Just like, where is that picture going down the stairway? Here? Yes. You will take a wrong turn on the stairway. So we'll stop here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
The following is a class on Lord Nityananda's appearance day, given by His Divine Grace Hridayananda Das Goswami Acharya Dev on February 11th, 1987, in Miami Beach, Florida.
Today is the auspicious appearance day of Lord Nityananda. On February 11th, 1987. So this beautiful song which Prabhupada has chanted, there's the recording we have. Very beautiful song. Lochandas Thakur begins by saying, Nitai Gunamani Amar, Nitai Gunamani. Guna, that means quality, good quality. Just like in English. This word guna in Sanskrit, it's just like in English. We may say a quality, that something has a particular quality. But it's also used in the sense of a good quality, just like you say a quality product. So similarly in Sanskrit, guna means sattva gun, rajo gun, tamo gun, different qualities of nature. But it's also used to indicate a good quality, someone that has good quality. So here it is stated, Nitai guna mani. Mani in Sanskrit means jewel. That Nityananda is the jewel of all qualified persons that have good qualities, or he possesses a jewel of all good qualities. Nitai Gunamani Amar. Amar my Nitai. He's As Prabhupada said, we have nothing but Krishna. The devotee thinks nothing is mine but I have Krishna. As Lord Brahma said, what is that verse? Jnane prayasamudha pasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritang bhavadhiya bharatam sthane stita sutigatang tanubang vanubhi vipraya sojita jitopyasi taishchilokya. Brahma said, those who give up their foolish endeavor to understand the truth by their own speculation, their own idea, jnane prayasamudha pasya namanta eva, and they simply become humble and bow down to the Supreme Lord. They simply become humble, namanta eva. Jivanti sanmukaritang bhavadhiya bharatam. And they live by hearing the news, spiritual world, news about Krishna from the devotees, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness. Sthani stita. They can remaining in their position. Everyone has to accept a particular position within the Varnashram society. Just like if a man says, I like to have intimate association with women, but I don't think I'll get married. Then he becomes fallen because he's outside the Varnashram system. He's outside. There's no such order of life where one is not married, but he has intimate association with women. So therefore, everyone must work according to this Varnashram system. Just like it is stated in Vishnu Purana, Varnashrama charvata purusena parakpuman Vishnura radyate pantha nanyata toshakara. That Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, can be worshipped only by those who are behaving according to Varnashrama. Varnashrama charvata purusena parakpuman Vishnura radyate. There's no other way to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So, Lord Brahma says, Sthani stita. So you may remain in your position. Just like also in the song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he says, Thakoha apano kaji. So you remain in your position. But, Sthani stita sutigatam tanuvang manovi. That was one's tanu, his body, vang, his words, manovi, with one's mind, sthani stita sutigatang tanuvang manovir. One should completely surrender to the message of Krishna, to the devotional service of Krishna, become a very strict devotee of Krishna. Then, such a person who has given up all other endeavors, who's always serving Krishna, Lord Brahma says, Je praya sojita jitopya sitaisti lokyam. Although in general, my Lord Krishna, you cannot be conquered, you are conquered by such persons. You are conquered by such persons. Therefore in this song by Lochan Das Thakur, he says, Nitai gunamani amar nitai gunamani. My Nityananda. So I'm explaining that point. Nitai gunamani amar nitai gunamani aniya premer bhunya bhusaila avani. Lord Nityananda brought this flood of love of Godhead. Aniya premer bhunya bhusaila avani. And he flooded the whole world with his love. Avani means here. Bhusaila avani. Premer bhunya loyanitai aila goda dese. Bringing this flood of love of Godhead, Lord Nityananda came to Goda Desh, Bengal. Nityananda, his preaching field was Bengal. So it is stated, Aila Goda Dese. He came to Goda Desh. And Duvila Bhakatagana Dina Hina Vase. He drowned he flooded, or all the devotees, they were drowning in this ocean of love of Godhead, and Dina Hina, those who were wretched, puffed up rascals, unfortunate, that could not understand Krishna consciousness, they did not drown, but Lochandas Thakur says they were floating. Dina Hina Vase. At least they were floating in this ocean. Then it is stated, he says, Dina Hina Patita Pamara Nahi Vache. Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that he did not discriminate. He didn't care if someone was Dina. Dina means fallen. Hina, wretched, rejected member of society. Dina Hina Patita, the fallen, Pamara, sinful, Nahi Vache. There's no discrimination. Brahmar Durlava Prem Savakari Jache. Rather, Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that he distributed this love of Godhead, which even Lord Brahma has trouble obtaining. That love, which cannot even be obtained by Lord Brahma, he gave to everyone. This is Nityananda. Dina Hina Patita Pamara Nahi Vache Brahmara Durlava Prem Savakari Jache. Avadha Karuna Sindhu Nitai Katiya Muhan. There's an ocean of mercy. Actually, Lord Krishna is the ocean of mercy. But that ocean was avadha. Avadha means it was blocked. It was blocked. It was inaccessible to the people. Somehow they could not get that mercy. So, Nitai Katiya Muhan, Nityananda cut a canal from that ocean, just like if there's a big river or sea, if you open a canal, you can bring the water. So it said that Nitai did that. Lord Nityananda, Nitai Katiya Muhan, he opened a canal, a channel, and brought this flood of love of Godhead. Ghore ghore duve prema amiyaravan. And Nityananda Prabhu personally went door to door. Ghore ghore. Ghora means the same as griha, a house or home. So it is stated, Ghore ghore duve prema amiyaravan. He went from door to door, giving everyone this flood, this love of Godhead. So, after explaining the position of Nityananda, how kind and merciful he is, then Lochandas Thakur concludes by saying, Lochan Bole, Lochan says, Lochan Bole Henu Nitai, such a Nityananda, in other words, such Nityananda being so, Jevana Bhajilo, anyone who does not worship him, anyone who does not accept him, Janiya Shuniya Se Atma Ghati Hoilo. Janiya, knowingly, Suniya, even having heard from authorities, such a person becomes a killer of his own soul. Suicide. Atma Ghati. Ghati means killing. Atma Ghati Hoilo. He becomes killer of the soul. Just as it is stated in the Sri Upanishad that Asurya namate loka andhina tamasavrata tams te praitya vigachanti jaike chatma halojana. The killers of the soul, whoever they may be, must enter into the worlds known as, into the demoniac world, Asurya. The demoniac worlds covered by darkness and blindness. So, of course, soul cannot be killed. Najayate mriyate va kadakshin. That Nahanyate hunyamane sarire. Soul cannot be killed, still it becomes as good as dead. That's the idea. As good as dead. If we do not take advantage of Krishna consciousness, it becomes as good as dead. So, this song is about Nityananda. I received a letter today from Vaninath, our Vaninath, in which he's expressing his feelings that everyone, from the top down, must engage in Sankirtan. So, this is a very nice idea. Actually, Lord Nityananda also went on Sankirtan. We cannot think, I have outgrown Sankirtan. When I was a kid, I did Sankirtan. No. Nityananda was going house to house, door to door, ghore, ghore. So, this is our real life at the lotus feet of Nityananda. We chanted this morning, Nitai pada kamala koti chandra susitala jai chai jagajurari. Our material desires are exactly like a fire. This is Lord Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita. Dushpurena analena cha. It's just like a fire, this material desire. It cannot be satisfied. So, in the shade of the lotus feet of Nityananda, that we will find relief from that, the heat of that fire. So, opportunity is there for everyone to become absorbed in this mood of preaching, serving. This is our real life. Due to ignorance, we are thinking I'm American or Mexican or Russian or German or Chinese. This is our ignorance. We are thinking I am this body, man or woman. And in that way, our conditioned nature has become manifest. But as Shastra tells us, we may remain in our position. Everyone must accept a particular duty according to his conditioned nature. But even from that position, let us say, whether he is brahmachari, grihastha, sannyas, vanaprastha, whatever his position, he can become absorbed in this mission. Srila Prabhupada, Lord Nityananda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he can experience his real life, how he's an eternal servant of God. This is our real life. No material desire. This is our real position. So on this auspicious day of Lord Nityananda's appearance, we should try to take advantage and make a very serious plan for surrendering to Krishna. So,
when the word Sankirtan is used, could you explain the essence of what is meant by Sankirtan? Because there's so many, in ISKCON, there's so many varieties of Sankirtan. What is the essence?
Book distribution. And also chanting in public places. This is actually Sankirtan. That was Prabhupada's intention. That was his desire. Of course, many people are serving Krishna in different ways. We cannot be arrogant or criticize any Vaishnava to say your service is not good. We should appreciate everyone's service. We should appreciate everyone's service. Everyone who's working in the Sankirtan movement, they're also helping Sankirtan. Everyone has a different service. Everyone is helping Sankirtan. So in that sense, we may say the whole movement is a Sankirtan movement. So everyone who's helping this movement, he's also taking part in the Sankirtan movement. But in answer to your question, what I meant to say was that specifically when we go out to the street, when we go out temple devotees go out to meet the public, they said, try to give them literature. That was Prabhupada's desire. That's what I mean to say. Many people are helping in different ways to push on the Sankirtan movement. That's all may be accepted as service to the Sankirtan movement. But when the devotees living in the temple, when they go out to meet the public, they should go out to give something to, I remember in 1970, we were going out in Sankirtan and collecting in different ways. And Prabhupada said that your Sankirtan is contaminated because you're going out to get money. He said that. He said your Sankirtan is contaminated. The idea was that we should go out to preach, to give the Krishna consciousness. So, of course, householder may do business. Householder may do business. There are different orders of life. But the devotees who are going out every day in the Sankirtan party, they should go out to preach. They should go out to preach. That was Prabhupada's intention. Ghore ghore, door to door. Any other question on these points? So we'll stop here. All glories to the Prabhupada, all glories to Lord Nityananda.